Welcome, everyone, to Monday Morning Morons for October 2nd, 2017. This week, let's start with an elected moron. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo went to Puerto Rico this week to hand out supplies to the hurricane victims there. Or, at least that was the official story for the humanitarian photo op anyway. When he was asked if displaced Puerto Rico residents will be welcome to come to New York, here's what he had to say.
Whatever we can do to help. We believe in immigration in New York. We are a state of immigrants. I am an immigrant. I'm wholly against this anti-immigrant fever that has been stoked during the political campaign.
Okay, where to even start with that? I suppose we'll begin with the obvious there, Andrew. Puerto Ricans aren't immigrants. They're U.S. citizens. Whether they come to New York or not doesn't change that. This question has nothing to do with immigration at all, but way to force your talking points in there anyway. Secondly, as most people have already pointed out, you are not an immigrant either. You were born in Queens, New York. Your father was born in New York, so you're not even the son of an immigrant, you blubbering buffoon. Let's go from a dumb politician to a dumb criminal this week, mostly because this one just made me laugh. Drunken woman drives to pick up arrested drunken man. Police say an Ohio woman drunkenly drove to a sheriff's office after receiving a call to pick up her boyfriend who had already been arrested for drunken driving. WEWS-TV reports a sergeant at the Stark County Sheriff's Office talked to the woman by phone last week and told her that her boyfriend wanted her to pick him up. The sheriff's office says the sergeant noticed she sounded drunk and advised her not to drive if she had been drinking. Police say she drove to the office anyway and was given a breath test that measured her blood alcohol level at twice the legal limit. You know, I guess sometimes it's nice when the criminals come right to you, huh? Let's move on to a little piece I like to call reverse psychology. I am the woman in this photo, and this is how I responded to body-shaming trolls. Oh, hi. This is a photo of me taken from a swimsuit photo shoot in Dubai for a women's magazine. Objectively speaking, I look fucking hot as shit. So let's talk about the haters. I hate to break it to you, honey, but being full of shit isn't the same as looking hot as shit. The post I made a few days ago has naturally meant that a lot of people have commented with either extreme ignorance, dieting advice, or pretending to be concerned about my health, in which case go fuck yourself, or with vile and abusive comments. This is, well, a lot of things. It's normal. Terrifyingly normal. Exist online as a femme, and this is what you get on a daily basis. Throw in some opinions as well, and you might as well stay away from your timeline forever. So that's one thing. Correction. This is not just from existing as a female online, but existing as a female spewing utter bullshit online. There's a difference. I deleted all of the abuse at first, and banned the people from the page, because it's annoying and I don't want any of you lovely people reading it and feeling sad. You might not be used to reading and disregarding these things like I am. Yeah, so used to disregarding it, in fact, that I had to write an entire article about it. But I stopped deleting it for two reasons. First of all, you guys were incredibly funny when taking on these trolls. I was laughing at how superiorly intelligent you were, and how easy it was for you to make fun of them and destroy their arguments. Second of all, I was busy. Now, just remember this part as we read through here. She finds it funny when other people are being made fun of. Quite the opposite of the let's all be positive message she concludes with later. And this is what I want to say and why I post this photo. There are two kinds of people, creators and destroyers. No happy person feels the need to go online and attempt to make a stranger sad. These people who are making these shitty comments wear their vulnerability on their sleeves. No one writes, "Die, you fat bitch," and then goes out for a nice meal with some friends and laugh and feel content. No one says, "Fucking pig, kill yourself," and then gets into bed with their soulmate and feels that pinch of true happiness in their stomachs. I am not saying that trolls are all sad men sitting in their mother's basements because, as we've seen over the years, a lot of them walk among us. Lawyers, accountants, so many accountants, teachers, politicians. What I am saying is, they are so sad, so unhappy, so desperately miserable. Imagine feeling the need to do something like that. You see why I call this reverse psychology? They have groups as well. I was under attack again a few months ago, and a friend of mine showed me a group online where they were discussing their attack. Now, I had tweeted that I wasn't seeing any of the abuse, which was true. Twitter made it so that it filtered out accounts that weren't verified or that were reported as being abusive before. And the trolls were so upset. One was saying, "She is saying she can't see it. Is this real?" And the rest were comforting him. "Don't worry, she can see it." And then they continued to tell me to kill myself on Twitter. It was adorable. So much vulnerability. So much fear and self-hatred. Well, Toots, hate to tell you this, but you just admitted that you did see it. Otherwise, how did you know what they were saying? Sure, you said a friend showed it to you. Whether true or not, and I suspect not, you did see it, didn't you? And you can save the reverse psychology bits. It isn't fooling anyone. I'm not going to torture you folks with the rest of this one. Link is in the description if you care to continue reading it, but nothing changes. It's just long-winded, ego-stroking, masturbatory projection with the obviously desperate goal of convincing trolls that their insults don't bother her. If that were true, I'd say good for you, Sophie. But clearly it isn't, or you wouldn't have bothered writing this in the first place. What's up next, Bob? Academics say Whiteness Journal has fishy peer review process. A popular journal that claims to publish peer-reviewed research on white privilege appears to lack peer review, according to a campus reform analysis. The journal Whiteness and Education, published by Routledge, vows to publish peer-reviewed research on issues surrounding critical discussions of white racism, white identity, privilege, power, and intersectionality. In the last few months, the journal has published numerous articles on social justice issues, including one urging the destruction of white stream intellectual habits, and another urging professors to dismantle whiteness. But while these articles purportedly passed a peer review process, a closer look shows that both were accepted for publication just one day after they were received by the publisher, an extremely short time frame that suggests the articles may not have undergone a properly rigorous peer review. Most peer review processes in the social sciences take at least a few weeks, if not a few months, professors with experience in publishing academic papers told Campus Reform. Okay, first, let me just say I'm not in the least bit surprised that a supposedly academic journal by the name of Whiteness and Education has a dubious peer review process. The name alone is enough for me to question the legitimacy of the journal, so that's not why I brought this up. What concerns me goes beyond this journal to all journals. Tinfoil hat time here, folks. But what if this kind of pseudo-scientific nonsense is exactly the point? Consider this as a double-edged sword. On the one hand, by flooding the academic world with dubious peer-reviewed bullshit journals, it brings into question anything published in academic journals. We can no longer trust anything we read in these things because you never know which ones are just complete bullshit and which ones are actual seriously researched papers. Now, for those of us with curiosity or skepticism to begin with, that's not much of a big deal, really, because we don't trust them anyway. We're going to read the research methods, question the beginning assumptions, look for the bias in conclusions, etc., etc. Nothing really changes for those people. But those people are not the majority. The average Joe either doesn't care enough or simply doesn't have that kind of time on his hands. The result? We're driving average people to the extremes. They will either believe everything or believe nothing. And both are just as dangerous. Think climate change, for example. Is it happening? The data certainly seems to indicate that it is. My own personal observations vindicate that it is. Just as one minor example, for the last several years, my daffodils bloomed almost a full month before they should. Clearly then, something isn't normal, right? So we turn to the academics who put their time and effort into studying these things, and they conclude that the Earth is getting warmer, i.e., the climate is changing. But what's this? Faulty data used in this study? Predictions in that study didn't come true? Altered data in that particular study? Well, then clearly all studies are wrong, and it simply isn't happening. It's a grand conspiracy perpetuated by big corporations to make us all buy an electric car. You see the problem? The in-betweens have been eliminated. It's one extreme or the other. These people want everything to be black and white in a world full of grays. And if they can show one thing is wrong, then all things are wrong. It's pure lunacy, and journals like this one help feed that attitude. So what if that's exactly the point? What if journals like these succeed in muddying the academic waters, so to speak? Where does that leave us? With a world full of idiots who either believe everything written or idiots who don't believe anything written. Both easily manipulated to act in favor of whatever side happens to gain power, and both thinking that the other side are the morons. And look around, it's working. The sane, sensible, moderate middle is disappearing in favor of extremists on one side or the other. Sheep being herded into pens by wolves. Okay, you can take off the tinfoil hats now. Give us the next one, Bob. Marxist professor doubles down on Trump must hang tweet. Ah, yes. This one made me laugh because it's one of the worst attempts at spin I've ever seen. It's not funny in a ha-ha sort of way, but more like the, oh, you poor idiot sort of way. And remember, this guy is a college professor charged with teaching young adults. A California State University Fresno professor is defending his tweet stating that Trump must hang, which led to his suspension earlier this year. Lars, I'm not even going to try that, spoke publicly about the incident for the first time in an interview with Politico published Sunday, saying he was merely describing a possible outcome and was not endorsing violence against President Trump. Oh? Well, let's have a look at that tweet, shall we? To save American democracy, Trump must hang. The sooner and the higher, the better. Hashtag the resistance, hashtag death to fascism. Huh. Well, obviously, I must have missed the hypothetical part of that statement because I sure as shit don't see anything suggesting a what-if kind of scenario there. Lars then tried to spin the situation into an issue of academic freedom and not an incitement of violence by claiming he was just spitballing his ideas over a non-academic social media platform. Right, so this is a non-academic spitball. Okay, I got it. Go on. After the attack this summer on Congressman Scalise, Fox News referenced Lars and other left-wingers and said that they bear responsibility for unsettling political discourse that has crossed the line of civility and could spawn acts such as the shooting. Lars, however, insisted that his tweets were intended for academic purposes only, saying he was only trying to highlight the historical fact that the leaders of fascist governments have often been executed by political opponents. And now it's an academic discussion about history. Funny, I didn't see any mention of historical dictators there, but it's interesting how this can be both academic and non-academic all at the same time, isn't it? Maybe we're taking him out of context though, right? So let's just take a look at another academic proposition of his. Justice equals the execution of 2 Republicans for each deported immigrant. Well, evidently the FBI missed the academic value of that thought-provoking tweet too because they investigated him for it. Seriously, Lars, I don't know what you teach at Fresno, but for the sake of your students, I seriously hope it isn't logic, public speaking, or debate because you clearly royally suck at it. Well, actually, considering how terrible you are at spin, I actually do hope you're teaching the future politicians and activists this crap because it'll make it far easier for us to spot the bullshit. Okay, Bob, let's wrap it up with our weekly dose of toxic masculinity. An Ohio woman accused of duct taping her 11-year-old son to a chair in June before taking another child swimming has pleaded guilty to a charge of child endangerment. 32-year-old Susan Melissa pleaded guilty to the felony charge on Wednesday in Youngstown. Boardman Township police say they arrested the mother after a relative went to her home and found the boy in the basement, bound to the chair with his mouth taped shut. Police say the boy was cold and shaking. A police report notes a 2016 report alleged the boy told a school counselor a woman had hit him with a hammer to discipline him. Now, when this poor kid grows up to mistrust or even hate women, I wonder whose fault that'll be. Oh, right. It's men's fault. Remember, folks, Women are victims, men are oppressors, America is a patriarchy, and feminism is just about equality. I'll see you all next time.